Okay, I'll see you later. Dude, I was just thinking about doing, I'm not kidding. This week, I was thinking, we need to bring back the feats of strength.
Like the time I rip off my chest there.
Yeah, dude, that was too much.
That was a little much.
It was a little much. Plus, I'm not sure it's necessarily a feat of strength.
Or
it's a feat of something. There's no doubt about that. But
Live on Facebook.
Okay, that felt good.
Yeah?
I needed to get the blood going.
Right, yeah, dude, I get it. Channeling your inner Father Kerry Wakulich.
Yes.
Push-ups in the middle of class. Yeah. Thinking he can out-wrestle Coach John Smith. I don't know how many times I've watched that video, but it is great.
It's great every time. Every time I watch it, I'm like, yes.
And I like how the guy who's making the video clearly sees the fireman coming. Right? Oh, watch out for the fireman!
Oh, there it is.
Yep. I'll bet that hurt. That probably hurt. It looks like that hurt. Anyway.
Oh man.
Today, I am here to give you the assurance that I have not forgotten you.
If we want to see the new evangelization become more than just jargon, if we want to see it grow legs and gain traction and change the world, we have got to take seriously our responsibilities as husbands and fathers, and especially as sons of God.
I want to propose to you then that something that our world is desperately in need of in the midst of this crisis is Catholic Christian masculinity.
If you want to be a good father, then bring your children to confession with you.
I can't get there unless I become a man of ascesis, a man of asceticism, a man of training.
A man not doing penance, a man not disciplined, is not a man.
You guys have upped your game.
You know what, guys? I gotta say, I love the concept of Man Show.
Warning: the Catholic Man Show is about to begin.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. We're on the Lord's team, the winning side, so raise your glass. Adam Minhan here, sitting in studio with David Niles, Juan Posada, Jimbo Baggins, Jimothy, Jaime, the Golden Gem.
Ooh, I like that because it's like gem.
Yeah.
It's funny, a golden gem. Gems are not gold. But if you did find a gem that was made of gold, it'd be pretty special. Just like our golden gem.
Jim's also nominated for Board Member of the Year for St. Michael Catholic Radio.
And is the current recipient of Employee of the Year at the tax place
that he works at.
Where he kind of is a volunteer. I don't know. They pay him actually, but it's it feels like volunteering to me as an observer. I don't know.
Way to go, Jim. It's a big year for Jim.
But the people there, they really appreciate him. He's Employee of the Year.
He also is the logistics manager and shipping manager of the Catholic Man Show.
Yeah.
So if you guys buy anything on catholicmanshow.com/store, you can
complain to me.
You can complain to Jim if it's late, because it'll be Jim. Big man, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a little bit because of Easter and everything else. I was really excited about this.
Fantastic Holy Week.
I know. I was excited about this episode to just get back together and catch up because there's so many things that have happened.
And we've had guests, which are great.
Right.
We've had some good guests.
Yeah, recently. Yeah.
But it's just.
It's just good to get back together and
talk. I feel like we don't get to talk as much.
I know.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited
Exodus
about that.
90 is over.
Elizabeth had her first confession today.
Yes, today was a big day.
Today
it was really a big day. I also had my daddy-daughter date with my middle daughter Mary,
my goddaughter.
Yeah, so it was I love. It was a pretty big day. I also love her.
Yeah, big day. Also, shout out to Carolina Catholic Media because we are now being broadcasted in North Carolina. So if you were listening to us on Catholic Radio in North Carolina.
I think it's Carolina.
Carolina?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to have to brush up on that.
On the Carolina.
On how to exactly say it.
I do like and appreciate their style of barbecue. Not my favorite, but I appreciate it.
I do too. You know what?
Because it's the mustard based.
Yeah. I appreciate all kinds of barbecue. The thing is, I like all food, basically. I don't want to eat like a tomato. I like cherry tomatoes, like plain. But typically, I don't like if you have like a beef eater, like a big, just juicy tomato. A lot of people love them. I'm glad they do. It's not really my thing. Now, if you put tomatoes in stuff, totally great. Awesome. But that's really it.
I'm glad you shared that with us.
That is the extent of the food that I dislike.
Okay. Cool.
So, you know what? Very convenient to like everything because you don't have to
worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. And my wife, that's one of her favorite things about me is that I like everything that she makes.
Perfect.
It is great. It's a fantastic arrangement.
We also are drinking Glendalough today. Pot distilled Irish whiskey.
Which I am excited to taste because it smells good.
It smells delicious, but we're also going to go there.
We are going to go to this place on our pilgrimage.
Yes. So it's good to get, acquainted, get to know the lay of the land, so to speak.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
There's something in the aroma here that
it's white chocolate raspberry.
That's what it is.
Right,
yes.
white chocolate raspberry.
I get olives in the nose.
Olives?
Like green olives.
Yeah.
White chocolate raspberry is just.
But it's just such an interesting aroma.
Yes, but we are going to Ireland on a pilgrimage this year.
In
Go
September.
to selectinternationaltours.com/Catholic Man Show. We'd love to have you join us. We do have a few spots still available, so we'd like you to join us. Father Sean Donovan is going to be joining us. We also, here's something that we did not mention on our podcast last time because Father Sean Donovan told us about it afterwards that we're going to be doing. We're going to be celebrating the traditional Latin Mass on a rock in Ireland. Like, those little, like, these flat rocks that they have that they allow masses to be set at. We're going to be doing that.
It's going to be awesome.
So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and Father Sean Donovan, big devotee of the Latin Mass. He's not like a fraternity priest, but just like super great, fantastic traditional priest.
Whom we love.
And actually did some consulting for the Latin Mass in Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, which will be coming out soon. It's not out yet, but that was filmed in his where he's
parish.
Like in the town of his parish, Pawhuska, Oklahoma. And so it was just kind of a cool story. If you come on our pilgrimage, you can hear all about him telling Scorsese, like, yeah, you just can't do that.
Right.
Which is like, that would be so cool. Like, yeah, look, Scorsese, you can't do that. And then he actually listened to you.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So where's your glass? Cheers.
Cheers to Jesus.
So Glendalough, it's a pot distilled Irish whiskey. It's about $50.
Really?
One of the unique things about this whiskey is that it is barreled in Irish oak barrels. One of the things that they're trying to do is replenish the oak.
I was gonna say, I'm not very familiar with Irish oak.
Apparently, it used to be a plethora of Irish oaks, and it's no longer. But every time they cut one down in Glendalough, they plant 7 oak trees.
Nice.
And so, anyway, so it is first aged in bourbon barrel, and then, but for the majority of the time, it is aged in Irish oak barrels. Now, I don't know how many Irish whiskeys are aged in actually Irish aged or Irish.
Kind of makes
oak.
it more of an Irish whiskey.
Right. So I don't know. What did you think?
Very good.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to.
For $50, what do you think?
For $50, this is a incredible value.
Okay, 43%. I like how. So I really like how they. One of the things I like about whiskeys, whenever they include the bottle number, cask number, batch number, like just not that I really care, but it's just nice to see
or know that it's real.
Right.
Right.
But I just like to see it.
They could be printing the same thing on all of them for all I know.
Did you notice? Who is this? Do you know?
Uh,
Who's this guy?
Moses?
No, Saint Kevin.
Oh, Saint Kevin, of
With-
course, with the bird
with
in
the
his
bird.
hand. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why I also really liked it because, it has Saint Kevin on the label
Yes.
with the black bird.
Yeah. So you're right. Now that you say that, of course, and he's got the nest in his other hand.
Right.
But he's got his arms out, and I was like, I don't know, Moses.
Yeah.
No. Like at
that-
first, I was thinking like Jesus, and then it's like it's probably not Jesus.
Isn't that cool though?
Yes. Yeah, but you were right about definitely white chocolate on the nose. No white chocolate on the palate.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
What do you think?
Wow, that finish is very interesting.
Yes. Maybe some eucalyptus. Almost a little mint.
It does have a
On
little
the-
bit of
on the
like
finish.
green, like evergreen type of
Yes,
taste. Yeah,
uh-huh.
at the end. Yeah, that is interesting. I will have to. It is complex. I got to tell you, there's a lot of things that are happening.
Yeah, there are a lot of flavors to that. That is, if you can find this, you need to buy it. I am now super excited to go here.
Not that I wasn't already.
Right, but this is a really good whiskey.
It is a very good whiskey. So anyway,
this is one of the more complex Irish whiskeys I've ever had.
yeah, because normally it's just like lemon, honey, oak.
Yeah, Irish whiskeys are known for being like very approachable. Even someone who doesn't drink whiskey can try an Irish whiskey and like it. Very smooth,
Flowery,
but typically
floral, clementine. Man, there's a lot of things going on.
I agree. I'm a big fan. I'm glad we have a whole bottle of it.
Yes. Tell me about Elizabeth when she was like receiving her first confession today. Father Sean O'Brien was her confessor, which is
her uncle.
Her uncle, which is really
Uncle
cool.
Father Sean.
It
was just so great.
Was she nervous?
Yeah. So Haley called her today. Lady Haley called.
Good.
And talked to her, and she said, "Like, are you excited? Are you nervous? Yeah." And after she got off the phone, we said, "Well, what Haley? What'd she ask you?" And she's like, "Well, she asked if I was nervous, and I really didn't know what to say."
I was too nervous.
Yeah, exactly. But when she came out, she just had like the big smile.
Yeah, she had a
on her
huge
face.
glow. Like,
it was
she was
so
proud.
It was a little bit too bad because we were all like right outside the door. She came out. There's like 20 of us staring at her.
Just
like
waiting for
right,
her.
It's like embarrassed. We're all here.
It was wonderful.
Oh, it was just great.
It was great to see.
I was very proud of her.
I love being a part of those moments.
Yeah. And then I was like, "So, Sean, what'd she say?"
Yeah. Did you make sure she said this?
Yeah.
Anyway, so go pick up a bottle of Glendalough. I'd like to talk a little bit about Exodus 90 as well.
Me too.
On the other side of this break.
Me too.
Okay, so we'll be right back. That is so interesting. What do you think?
Last week was better.
Well, last week was like
$130, $40
triple the cost. I think this is good.
I do too.
I think this is a lot better per dollar than.
Better per dollar.
Yeah, I'm an investment guy, Jim. Okay, I'm thinking in like price to earnings ratios all the time. Well, on a risk-adjusted basis, this is a way better
per capita.
Right? Exactly. And that's actually true on a risk-adjusted basis. This is a much better whiskey, but that's sort of saying the same thing about better per dollar. I mean, if you think about it, you've never tried a whiskey and you're going to shell out all this money, you're taking a big risk.
Especially if you don't like it.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, it is sweet that they have St. Kevin on there.
Yeah.
Does it say that it's St. Kevin, or you just recognized that it was St. Kevin?
Well, I assumed it did.
I mean, it's definitely St. Kevin. But you just recognize the image.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Because he's from Glendalough.
Right.
I mean, so
I didn't know he was from. I didn't know Kevin was from Glendalough.
Yeah, so
I knew he was Irish.
You're making me double guess myself now.
No, it's definitely Kevin.
Okay.
It definitely is.
Kev.
Yeah, the Kevster.
Yeah.
What was he known for?
Holding his hand out and a bird, like his asceticism.
He was known for like ridiculous asceticisms, the kind of asceticism that it's like, okay, I think there's a little bit of legend. like, well, a little. I mean, I think the stories about him have been legendized. They're a little legendary. I'll just put it that way.
All right, let's keep going.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles here with Adam Minahan. We got Juan Posada on the buttons and Jimbo Baggins guarding the door.
The Golden Gym.
He looks like he's a little angry today, guys. This is not the day I would try to barge in.
No, this would not be a good day.
This is not the moment.
No.
Adam, if somebody says, I want to go on the pilgrimage, where do I get more information? What do they do?
SelectInternationalTours.com/CatholicManShow, or you can go to thecatholicmanshow.com. It's one of the first things that you will see on.
All information Catholic Man Show can be found at CatholicManShow.com is like a general rule.
Mm-hmm.
That's a general rule. That's a rule of thumb.
Yes, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay, so we just finished Exodus 90. I've had 2 hot showers. They were amazing. I forgot that, like, the window fogs.
Yeah.
And, like, everything about the whole thing.
I know.
It's amazing.
It was so nice.
I'm actually clean now.
Right? Yeah.
I actually felt like, hey, I feel like I'm actually clean.
Mm-hmm.
But Exodus 90.
Back of my legs got washed for the first time.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
In 90 days.
Right. My neck got wet.
Yeah.
Wasn't just my head, the crown of my head.
Right.
But it was, the first time I did Exodus, it really, I've said this before, many times on the show, it really impacted me profoundly, changed my prayer life, it really formed me as a man in many life-altering ways. It was just really great. This time was also really, really beautiful. You want me to go first? I'll just go first since I just like, I'm already going.
Yeah. I mean, why stop the train?
Right. So this go around, I feel like I'm going to walk away with more longevity in some of these control over my appetites. Appetites, that's definitely my weakness. That's where I struggle a lot is in, for instance, my mother-in-law, she can eat 2 M&Ms. Mm-hmm. Can you do that?
Yes.
I cannot do that.
Yeah.
I can eat no M&Ms. And I can eat 50 M&Ms. Unless there's like 55, then I can eat 55 M&Ms. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to leave 5 in the dish.
Right.
It'll be rude. But so anyway, like that's like definitely the thing. That's like the area I need growth, and I've been praying about it a lot. And then like that's when I realized, you know what? I need to do Exodus 90 again. I need to because I felt myself kind of like I just didn't have the control that I knew that the Lord desired for me. And so this time the disciplines were not for me, just for me personally, they were not the arduous battle that they were the first time. I didn't have to deal with things like trying to back myself off the ledge from, snacking between meals for the most part. But I really pondered this time about what does it mean to feast? Like while you're fasting, that's just, I think, really the best time to ponder, not just to think about food, but to think about feasting. And one of the things that I really kind of fleshed out in my head is that, on Sundays, you're allowed to relax one discipline, but sometimes I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't relax one because it just like, oh, good, I can offer this up, offer up the one thing I can do. And what I've realized is that feasting begins in the intellect. So, because some people say, oh, well, it's Sunday. You shouldn't be fasting on Sunday. It's like, okay, well, the opposite of that. Does that mean I should eat everything I can? Should I just be a glutton then? But, don't deny yourself anything because it's Sunday. Obviously that's not it. And that's not what they're saying.
Right.
But it is okay to deny yourself stuff on Sunday.
Sure.
The most important thing is that you have this intellectual an attitude of celebration, of like you have this festivity, which is really an attitude. It's in the intellect that, you are just have this presence of mind of the resurrection, right? Because Sunday is like the feast day. And are you making that for yourself, letting your mind have the the more choice fare of intellectual ponderings, right? That is where Sunday really is. You can eat the food, right? But if you don't have these other things where you're resting in some of this intellectual graces and joys, then the food you're eating is worthless. It's not, and you're not actually feasting. And so that's one of the things I was really am taking away from this 90-day fast, was knowing that you feast first with the mind, with what is it that you're pondering?
Intentionality.
Right. And then the appetite, the physical appetite, should flow from those. It's out of this intellectual joy that I'm savoring, I will partake in, these other things bodily.
That helps with an ordered feasting as well.
Exactly. Right. Because it's not just I shouldn't deny myself, it's Sunday. No. You should deny yourselves, because virtue always requires self-denial at some point. It's the middle road, so to speak. So anyway, great Exodus 90. We had such a great group of guys to do it with.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a great part of it. Yeah, having Sam Guzman, the Catholic gentleman, Scott Bassett, Derek Lassy, Juan Posada, you, me, Father Porter.
Priest of God.
It was just such a good group. Yeah. So the first time I did it, I was not voluntarily wanting to do it. It was everybody else was doing it. I wanted to.
In fact, when we finished, you said, "I'm never doing that again."
Right. Yeah.
And so I was really surprised when I thought it was going to be a harder sell to get you in this time.
I actually was planning on wanting to do it.
Yeah. It's funny.
So the first time I was not really excited about it. I didn't want to do it. I felt like I was the dog clamping onto that rope, and the rope just being slung around. I'm just trying to hold on for dear life, the whole time, just gritting through it. But, this time I did not feel that way. But I went into it desiring to do it, which is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And then I was very intentional with my sacrifices, very specific with things that I was wanting to ask for the graces for.
Yeah, having an intention for every sacrifice.
For every sacrifice, whether
that is just total game changer.
It's a game changer. So when it was the cold showers, or it was I'm hungry, or whatever, or I don't really want to work out right now, whatever it was, it was I had this intention, this mind frame of no, I want to do this for such and such reason.
Right. Or even if it's just I can do this as a gift for Christ. It's not it's for my wife. It's no, this is maybe just even for him.
Right.
But just as a sign of my love.
And every time I do it, which has only been twice, but both times I've done it, my prayer life has just grown so much.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm going to do is Word on Fire has just started a subscription-based Liturgy the Hours for lay people.
Yeah.
Where it's $7 a month, and they send you basically kind of like a Magnificat every month.
Yeah.
I signed up for that because I've been
email. Is there an app? How does it work?
No. It's a physical book.
It's actually a hard copy.
Yeah, a hard copy
book.
That's
very cool. Of course, Word on Fire would do a hard copy.
That way, you're not flipping back and forth. You don't have to learn. It's no. It's for this day. Here's the Liturgy of the Hours, and so I'm going to do that.
I have tried to learn how to use the.
It's difficult.
If
you don't have somebody.
The breviary. Thank you.
If you don't have somebody teaching you, it's difficult.
Yeah. You have to live with somebody who does it do it every day with them, because it just doesn't make sense. And there's all these exceptions.
Right. Depends on the feast days.
It's super frustrating.
So I'm really excited about this.
That'll be great.
That'll be what I'm going to pick up on and continue with my prayer life. So Divine Mercy Sunday is this coming Sunday?
It's this coming Sunday, the octave of Easter.
And so one of the things that we decided to do, actually you decided,
we're going to give away an image, a Divine Mercy image. We're just going to send it. If you're one of our patrons, Adam's about to click the button.
Okay, you want me to click it right now?
Click the button. We're going to find out which patron is going to get. Okay. Patron 132, come on down. Who is it? Survey says
Andy Fazer.
Andy Fazer.
I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
Adam is notoriously good at pronouncing people's names.
Yes. Faesser.
Fazer.
Andy.
Way to go, Andy. We are going to send you a copy
out of Texas.
A Divine Mercy image. We're going to send you the best one we can find at a reasonable amount of money.
So thank you.
But it's going to be awesome.
Thank you for supporting.
Thanks for being a patron. So the man gear today, since this is the second segment, is the Divine Mercy image. We have actually done this as a man gear before, but Adam wasn't here for this particular episode. It was just me and Father Danny Grover. Adam was like downstairs, super
Deathly
sick,
ill,
super sick, and so
it's like running 104 feet.
Right? Yeah. Anyway, this is an image. It's not like other paintings that were just like done well that, they're so beautiful. This is an image that Jesus said he desired to be painted and for there to be a devotion to.
It's funny because Faustina tried to do it herself with charcoal on paper.
Yeah.
Charcoal sketch and realized, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So he asked her to do it. So she, out of obedience said, okay, I'm not an artist, but I will give it a go.
Yeah.
And was trying to do it with charcoal and paper and realized I can't do this.
Yeah.
And so she went back to prayer and Jesus said, don't worry, I will send you somebody to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And then just I think like a month later or something like that, somebody showed up.
I forget the guy's name.
Yeah.
I tried to remember it, but it's Polish and.
Right. And so anyway, so it's just really funny though. It's like she tried and then God said, it's okay. Thank you for trying. Well, I'll send you somebody.
So we're going to talk about Divine Mercy on the other side of the break.
We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Yeah, let's keep rolling.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. Shout out to Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. His birthday was this last week.
How old is he now?
Mucho.
When he retired,
I don't know how old he was.
If you had said like 2022 was the over-under on him still being alive, there is 0% chance I would have taken the over.
He's 95.
I mean, like, he was super old and, like, didn't seem like he was in that good of health
95.
when he retired.
May he have many more years.
May he, yeah, like, God bless the man. But I'm just surprised that he's still alive. That's what I'm super glad he's still alive.
Grateful.
But I'm just saying, like, wow. What's the Bible say? Like 70 is the number of is like the full length of man, years of a man. 80 if you're strong.
Right.
Like
95 if
he
you're
must
Pope
be.
Emeritus.
Oh, he's strong.
Yeah,
he's strong. So we're talking about Divine Mercy. We were just talking about the image. If you do not have the Divine Mercy image in your home, like this is something that you really got to have. It's because Jesus wants it. It's like Jesus. I don't know. I don't know of any other paintings that he himself has personally commissioned. He probably, like, there might be other people who said, like, Jesus said he wanted like this. So I'm not saying that this is the only one. I just don't know of the other.
The church says it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it. But this is one of them, okay? And
right.
He was pretty persistent, like, and also pretty specific. I want it to look like this with the pale and the blue. He showed Saint Faustina. She saw a vision of him standing there like this, right? And it's like, paint this. Check me out. See it? Right. Here. See how I'm standing? All right, paint it.
Screenshot.
Right. Exactly. And he says, which we're going to go over some of his quotes. Some quotes so we can quote him. Jesus about the image himself. But before we do, everybody knows. Well, I don't know if everybody knows, but a lot of people know about the plenary indulgence, the special indulgence available on Divine Mercy Sunday. I will tell you, I thought it was one thing, and it's not. I was confused. And so I think a lot of people might be confused because I've always said, there's a plenary indulgence, except you don't have to have detachment of sin. That's not true. You do have to have total detachment from sin. There's a confusion about this. Okay? So let's just talk about the indulgence.
Pray tell.
Indulgences are offered by the church, not from private revelations. I'm not saying the Bible, the book of the Bible, Revelation.
Right.
But, St. Faustina received these private revelations from Christ. That does not constitute an indulgence. However, John Paul II did, I believe in 2002, institute a plenary indulgence available on the octave of Easter for those granted under the usual conditions. So that means Eucharistic communion, prayer for the intentions of the Supreme Pontiff, total detachments of sin, and confession within the allotted time frame.
Sorry, I just sneezed all over Jim.
The special work to be done is Eucharistic communion and prayer. The faithful who on the second Sunday of Easter or Divine Mercy Sunday in any church or chapel in a spirit that is completely detached from affection for sin, even venial, take part in the prayers and devotions held in the hour of Divine Mercy, or who in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament, exposed or reserved in the tabernacle, recite the Our Father, the Creed, and adding a devout prayer to the merciful Lord Jesus, something like, Merciful Jesus, I trust in you. A partial indulgence is available, or a plenary indulgence is available for those who do that. So that's the work. Apart from that, Jesus promised St. Faustina special graces to all those who, and the graces that he described, like Jesus calls it a complete renewal of baptismal grace. He basically describes a plenary indulgence, because that's what happens when you receive a plenary indulgence. It's almost as if you were just freshly minted again, right? Right out of the waters of baptism. No punishment due to sin, no temporal punishment due to sin if you receive a plenary indulgence. So what the special graces that he describes, he says those for the faithful who receive communion and go to confession on Divine Mercy Sunday will receive this renewal. So all you have to do is go to communion, because there's also this big debate online as well. Do you have to go to confession on Divine Mercy Sunday?
No.
The answer is no. It would seem like the answer is no, because when you read St. Faustina's diary, she herself
didn't go.
She goes on the Saturday before. Mm-hmm. And I put that in here. It's in...
But the church even says...
Diary entry 1072.
Yeah. The church says, I believe, 21 days, 3 weeks.
Okay, but see, this is part of the confusion. That's for the plenary indulgence. Mm-hmm. So, on the one hand, we have a private revelation of Christ telling St. Faustina, for those people who receive communion worthily on Divine Mercy Sunday, you will receive what he doesn't say plenary indulgence, but it's a plenary indulgence.
Yeah.
What he describes as a plenary indulgence.
A grace bomb.
And so and then secondly, now the thing is that can only be received for yourself. The special graces, you can't receive those special graces for somebody else. You can, a plenary indulgence. You can receive them for souls in purgatory, for instance. You cannot receive a plenary indulgence for another living person. But you can, for instance, on All Souls Day, that plenary indulgence is only granted to the faithful to be received on the part of a soul in purgatory. So,
I'm not sure I knew that.
So this is a great mercy that the church is. So the church isn't saying you can't receive this plenary indulgence for yourself, but now we have the opportunity of receiving these special graces that our Lord Jesus reveals to Saint Faustina. Once again, private revelation.
Don't have to believe it.
Don't have to believe it. Not
a bad Catholic if you don't believe it.
Right. Exactly. Not the same level of authoritative teaching that when the church says a plenary indulgence will be granted. Personally, I have a devotion to Saint Faustina. I don't think that she's a liar, and
I named my daughter after her.
Right, you did. Exactly. And I would have if you didn't beat me to it. But so these are different. There are different things going on here.
Give you 3 shots.
Yeah. Well,
Or
no,
two?
just two.
Just two.
Just two. Anyway, so I was confused about these things because I thought,
Yeah, me
there's
too.
a plenary indulgence, except you don't need the total detachment from sin.
Mm-hmm.
For the plenary indulgence, technically speaking, it's a plenary indulgence the usual way. The work to be done is the reciting of the prayers in your church during the hour of mercy, 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And there's exceptions for that if you can't be there. It's there's a document, I forget what it's called, but it's laid out. Just Google it. You can find the information if you can't be there because there are exceptions. Apart from that are the special graces. All you need to do is receive communion worthily on Divine Mercy Sunday. I mean, it's like, that's amazing. I had no idea that, I didn't know that was all you had to do to receive these special graces. I mean, you're talking about like a grace bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to go back and read the diary again. That was like one of the first things I read when I was really coming back to the church. It took me a long time to read because, it is long. It's deceptive. I brought it with me.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look like that big of a book.
Paper's thin.
But these are thin paper and small print, and it's amazing.
One of the things that my spiritual director encouraged me to do was have 3 different types of books that you're reading. One is for and he says all 3 are very important for growth as a person.
Yeah.
One for leisure, that you just enjoy reading. One for growth in theological or philosophical matters. And then one that will have you dive deeper into the spiritual life, that you can maybe read just a paragraph or maybe just like 3 sentences or
Introduction
a
to the Devout
page.
Life, something like
Yeah,
that.
Intro to Devout
Imitation of Christ.
Right. That you can read in adoration, to where you read maybe one paragraph, one page, something like that, and then stop, and then the rest of the adoration is just focused on that.
And then talk amongst yourselves with you and Jesus.
Right. And one of the books that's been for me has been the Diary of Faustina. For the adoration book, basically. I finished it several years ago. Whenever I finished it as well, but
it is so powerful because
so powerful.
Some of those other books, Imitation, Introduction to the Devout Life.
I am falling deeper and deeper in love with St. Francis de Sales and his writings.
He really is.
The more
such
I keep
clarity.
The more I read about him, I'm like, man,
he writes
really digging.
In fact, I was just reading him today in adoration. But it's one thing to hear their words. But when you read the diary, these are the words of Christ. To hear, it's one thing to hear saints talk about Christ's mercy. But when you hear Jesus, when you hear him talking about his own mercy, it like hits you it hits me anyway, so hard. It's a
fascinating book too, because she talks about her visions that she received of heaven, of purgatory, of hell.
Yeah.
Like we had an episode on hell, and I wish, looking back now, that I would have referenced the 7 like things that people in hell are sorrowful for, that she received the vision for. Also fun, kind of crazy thing that she received when she was looking at souls in purgatory, or receiving the vision of souls in purgatory. She asked the souls, like, what's one of the things that you're struggling, like that is so purgative for you, and they said just the desire to not to be with God and not being able to. And then she saw Our Lady down consoling souls in purgatory, which is just crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And then she saw her place in hell, she saw her place in heaven. I mean, it's just a crazy book. It's really, really good.
It is a crazy book.
Yeah. So we'll keep talking about this on the other side of the break.
We'll be right back.
Have you read it, Jim?
I've read
a little part of it, yeah.
We got a question.
Okay.
It says, does the plenary indulgence work the same way if you attend Mass on the Saturday Vigil?
I would assume yes.
I would say, especially given like the whole tone of this book, that like with Christ being merciful, like just ridiculous, even though he says on Divine Mercy Sunday, because the church has said that the Saturday Vigil satisfies your Sunday obligation, I would be willing to bet all the money I have, wouldn't bet my soul, but I'd be willing to bet all the money I have that the Saturday Vigil you will still would suffice to receive the special graces. I'm not a big fan of the Saturday Vigil, personally. Like, I don't think that...
I was about to say, you want a hot take from Adam Minahan?
Right, yeah. Like, you shouldn't be... I don't think you should be going... I think if you need to go to the Saturday Vigil, that's fine. The church says it's fine. That, it does satisfy your Sunday obligation. But I think, like, for people who, we're Saturday night people, I think that they don't understand the purpose of communal worship on a specific day. Mm-hmm. That since the beginning, the church was called on a specific day, on the morning of our Lord's resurrection, to come together as one community. And, we have a big parish. It's not like a mega parish, but it's big. And what we end up having is like, well, there's the Saturday night parish.
Right.
And then there's the Sunday 9 o'clock parish. And then there's the Sunday noon parish. And that's just a reality here in this part where we live. In like places where Catholicism is older and there were more Catholics, everybody had a neighborhood parish. And there was a neighborhood parish everywhere. And because of that, they tended to be smaller, and you could get away with having one, it was more reasonable that your community and everybody in your community would have one celebration together. And that really was the vision that is, the idea behind the parish. Mm-hmm. So that's not his question. I think, yes, it does. I would guess, yes, Saturday night works for Divine Mercy Sunday and the special graces. Saturday night definitely works for the indulgence offered by the church. And I would guess it also...
Gonzalo from Peru is tuning in on Facebook right now. Oh. So shout out to you, Gonzalo.
And then for the special graces, not the indulgence, you said Holy Communion and confession?
Well, you need to receive... Christ says... I have it here, so let me just read it.
Well, is this episode worthy?
Yes.
So we should just start again.
Right. Well, hang on. Let me find it before we start.
Okay.
Because I have 17 quotes from him here.
Because we went back and forth, and he just wasn't clear.
Right.
Crystal cool. It is really crazy that the Lord showed Saint Faustina like her place in hell, should she choose to break away from his friendship. Which is
I've not read the diary.
Which is like
it is like one of the most profound spiritual, it touched my spiritual life.
I bet you it's better in Spanish.
Oh, dude, it's way better in Spanish.
It's not even close.
I only read it in Spanish.
Yeah.
You know who's better in Spanish? San Francisco. He's also way better in Spanish.
I prefer him in Italian.
Me too, actually.
No.
Well, if you knew Italian, I think you'd agree.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
You should try Mandarin.
You do know that
wild.
He's Spanish, right? He's from Spain.
Yeah, but he's just better in Italian.
Oh, okay.
You know who is not good in Spanish? Don Quixote. I tried to listen to that book. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to it in the original Spanish. I'm sure it's better. Terrible.
Couldn't.
Almost undecipherable. I literally was getting nothing out of it.
It sounded like noise.
It was just unintelligible. So I said, this is no. I personally found the English much better.
That makes sense.
Listo?
Sí. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles here with Adam Minahan. We're talking about Divine Mercy, which is my favorite thing. Divine Mercy is my favorite thing. There's nothing I like more than Divine Mercy. You can't find anything. If you try to say the Eucharist, I'll just tell you the same thing. I'll do that that thing where it's like you can't double stamp a triple or whatever the thing is.
Triple stamp, a double
Yeah,
stamp.
that you can't do that. Same, brah. All right.
But our mother.
I like Divine Mercy more than Our Lady.
I do too.
And she's super glad that I said that. I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about like, okay, receiving the indulgence versus the special graces. I was talking to Lady Pamela about this today, and she's like, yeah, well, we're consecrated to our mother. Because I was telling her like, oh, you could offer the indulgence up for the souls in purgatory. And she's like, well, we're consecrated to our mother, so Mary will take care of that. And I was like, I forgot about that. Yes. I didn't forget that I was consecrated, but I forgot that like,
She takes
I don't
care
even
of that.
I don't have to decide.
Right.
She'll decide what's best.
Right.
For me.
I love
Just like my mom would, except even better.
Right.
Okay, so over the break we were answering a question about like, what about the vigil? What if you go to the vigil? We decided, yes, the vigil probably counts as if like, hey guys, don't worry. We
decided.
We decided. It's been decided.
We made a phone call.
Right. And so you know it's good.
Cardinal Raymond Burke said,
but yes,
Saturday works.
That like, well, it definitely works for the indulgence offered by the
He
church.
didn't say that, by the way. Just, I don't want to throw his
Right.
name in.
Yeah. Why you got to bring the Berkster into it? You
I'm
know,
sorry.
you're dragging him down.
I know.
Down here with us.
Yeah.
That's uncalled for. But definitely the Saturday Vigil works for the indulgence offered by the church. And like we were saying, that it just seems fitting that Christ would also honor the Saturday Vigil since it is authorized by the church and it counts as your Sunday obligation. You know, Christ honors and upholds all that the church does and teaches. As
the head should.
As the head should and does. This is from diary from the diary entry.
By the way, she didn't want to write this.
No, she didn't. In fact, she did start writing it and then burned it because
and then was reprimanded.
And she got in big trouble from Jesus for that.
Could you imagine?
I cannot.
Like, so
I mean, like the thing
Juan,
is,
so
I've done
so
way
Juan
worse stuff.
Juan hasn't read this before. So Juan, Jesus says, start writing this down. She starts writing it down. She doesn't think she's doing a good
and
job.
did she finish?
Almost.
I think she was like mostly done and then burned it all.
And like felt like this is just not worthy.
She thought it was too much of her in it. She's like, oh, it's just bringing too much glory to me. I can't do it. And so she threw it in the fire. And Jesus was like, I
told you to do that.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then he says, go rewrite it. It's like, ugh.
So, but you were asking
you see
like
the part where I had a whip?
Yeah.
Did you miss that part?
Yeah.
So this is diary entry 1109. He says, I want to grant a complete pardon to the souls that will go to confession and receive Holy Communion on the feast of my mercy. So at the time, there was no Divine Mercy Sunday.
So there was a long time ago, and then it fell off the calendar, and then...
Was there?
I believe so.
Okay, so I know that when she was...
Yes.
When she was trying to get this going, a lot of the pushback was like, well, we already have a feast to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Why do we need the Divine Mercy?
Yeah, they had a mercy feast day for his mercy. They didn't call it Divine Mercy, but they had a mercy, like his
feast
mercy.
of mercy. Okay.
Yeah. And then it fell off the calendar, and then so that's why they said we have a Sacred Heart feast day. We had the mercy feast day. Like, we don't need this one.
So here's the quote about the image. I just want to get to. I demand. This is Christ. I demand the worship of my mercy through the solemn celebration of the feast and through the veneration of the image which is painted. By means of this image I shall grant many graces to souls. It is to be a reminder of the demands of my mercy, because even the strongest faith is of no avail without works. Diary entry 742. So like he definitely wants the image. There's a couple other quotes I want to just talk about. This is
Muse over?
Yes. This is entry 300. Mankind will not have peace until it turns to trust to my mercy. Until it turns with trust to my mercy. Mankind will not have peace.
Wow.
And then the later on in 848, he says, let all mankind recognize my unfathomable mercy. It is a sign for the end times. After it will come the day of justice. And so Christ uses the days of like the justice and mercy kind of like opposite sides of the coin.
Because they are.
Yeah, he says like the soul who will not trust in my mercy will have to pass through the door of my justice or something like that. You know, it's like it doesn't sound good.
Right. Yeah, and what I love about it also is he talks about how the greater the sinner, the greater right he has to my mercy.
I love that. Like he has the right to my mercy. Like
so
what a merciful thing to say, to even say it that way.
Right.
Because he knows, like, these, people who commit, when you commit great sin, you justly accuse yourself, have with this
even
Catholic
if you commit
guilt.
Small sin towards the infinite God is infinitely terrible.
Right. But, like, let's just say you did something atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's easy to see why you would accuse yourself so harshly. Like, oh, God could never forgive me. Mm-hmm. But no, Christ comes
and says you have a greater right to his mercy.
Right.
I mean, so Father Mike Schmidt talked about this. He was given a homily, I think, on Holy Week. He was talking about how Christ in his human form, or human nature. Sorry,
yeah.
I don't want to be heretical here.
He did take a human form, though. Too.
Yeah. But in his human nature, as he was going through the Passion, the moments that he wanted to give up, when the cross was too heavy, when the scourging was too painful, when the crowning of thorns was just like crushing his head, when he was suffocating on the cross for hours and he wanted to just give up, God let Christ see you. And he kept going.
And you were the reason why he stayed on that cross.
Right.
Because of you.
And that is just so powerful. Like when I heard him say that, I was like, man, that hits, that cuts deep, because like if you watch the Passion of the Christ, or you're meditating on his sufferings, and knowing that if you were his only creature, he would still do that.
Yeah, and even if you were the ones, and you were the ones whipping him, crowning him, nailing him,
he would do that.
So here's the quote you were talking about. The greater the sinner, the greater the right he has to my mercy. My mercy is confirmed in every work of my hands. He who trusts in my mercy will not perish, for all his affairs are mine, and his enemies will be shattered at the base of my footstool. Entry 723.
I just love how he's just constantly desiring to welcome us back, and like trying to any barricade that our human nature wants to put up. I don't have time, or this is inconvenient, or it's too big of a sin, or there's no way he would be willing to forgive me. It's like, no, this Sunday, I'm gonna remove all obstacles. Just go and receive the Eucharist worthily. Go to Mass. Like he just like knocks down every barrier possible.
This grace that he's offering,
just yearning to be with you,
is unfathomable. Like what?
Right.
It's like, so what you're telling me that like people are receiving this grace and they don't even know it. Mm-hmm. Who are receiving communion worthily on. It's like he doesn't say you have to do it on purpose. He just like people who will just go and receive. Like that's how merciful he is. He's giving everyone a plenary indulgence. Not everyone who receives communion worthily. Mm-hmm. But it's just. It almost is scandalous. It almost scandalizes me because it's like, no, you can't. You shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Like, that's no. We don't deserve that.
Right.
You know.
And you know what?
We
You're
don't.
Right.
I know, but it's just. It almost feels like it's too much. Mm-hmm. I can't handle that much mercy. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's scandalous, but it's my favorite. It's my favorite. So, like, back to the image, like why we talk about you need to have the image. One of the things that Christ said is that I promise that the soul that will venerate this image will not perish. That's a promise from Christ. I also promise victory over his enemies already here on earth, especially at the hour of death. I myself will defend it as my own glory. Entry 48. That's at the beginning. You don't even have to read very long before you get to that one. Because it is a long book.
But
the thing is...
Have we mentioned it's a long book?
But the thing is, like, it's awesome the whole time.
It really is.
So many crazy things. Like,
And I actually think that it is a good, like what we were talking about earlier, or I was talking about earlier on being an adoration book, because it is not a book to read through cover to cover, like sit down and just run through it.
No.
You want to only read a page, 2 pages, a couple pages at a time, and let that permeate through you. Let that soak in.
Yeah. And just like, so like Saint Faustina, you realize just what she is truly one of the greatest saints of all time.
And then she like
her level of holiness.
I know.
And dedication.
And then she said, and then Jesus says, "You're just so far away from me."
Right. Yeah. There was this one moment where I forget exactly what, like, if she had done something, like recognized, like that she had become holy, because in the end of her life, she was clearly aware that she was going to be a saint. And she was saying things like, "Pray to me, like ask me for my intercession. I have Christ has made me the apostle of His mercy." But yeah, so here she is, super holy, and Christ comes and says, like, lets her see herself through His eyes. Look how far away you are from me. Like, look how, you are just, compared to me, you are nothing. And it was just like, oh crap. I have never felt so bad in like such a good way before, It's amazing.
Go to confession.
Go to confession. Receive His mercy. He wants to give it to you more than anything else.
If you want to be a good father, take your children to confession with you.
Jesus, I trust in you.
We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers.
So, there's so many quotes here. A lot of them are very similar, talking about, but basically the gist is, if you trust in His mercy, and we have to be, I think, a little bit careful when we say these kinds of things and we talk about it as if like, oh, what the church teaches about salvation doesn't matter. That's not it at all. Because Christ will say things that if a soul venerates my mercy, if he stays close to my mercy, he will not go to hell, basically, is what he's saying. So that doesn't mean that you can
sin boldly.
Right, exactly. To quote heretic.
Luther.
Because we do not, if you presume Christ's mercy, what you're doing is blaspheming against the Holy Spirit. And this is the one thing.
Right.
This is the only thing that Christ cannot forgive, because you're not actually asking. So there is a fake kind, there is a demonic reverence of mercy, which I think we see all the time. Oh, Christ is merciful. He's not going to send that person to hell. We have a good God. It is just a total presumption. There's no actually asking for mercy in that attitude. You know what I mean? And that is exactly where Satan wants all of humanity to be, in living in this attitude of the assumption of Christ's mercy without actually asking for Christ's mercy.
Is mercy without repentance?
Yeah.
The concept of mercy without
mercy without repentance. Exactly right. And so we have to be on our guard, like guarding our own interior life and our attitude, that we don't fall into that in this fake veneration of Christ's mercy. Because it is true, all souls can be like, there is no soul that is beyond Christ's mercy. But if we, pridefully, if we think that because we hear him saying things like, "Oh, the greater the sinner, the greater the right he has to my mercy," if you think that he's just going to give it to you without you asking for it or desiring it, then you've got another thing coming. So, because that's not what it means. You have to desire his mercy. You have to ask.
Yeah, I think as moderns, it's very interesting how we almost feel like that we have a right to salvation.
Right.
Like that we as coming out, like we, into this world, we're like, we deserve salvation. Like,
right.
We deserve to be in heaven.
Almost as if it's God's fault that we're in this predicament. I didn't ask to be born.
Right.
You know,
and that's just not true at all. It's a complete gift.
Right.
That we have to receive.
Uh-huh.
And once we receive it, to work in cooperation with it so that we can be uniting our will to his will to get there.
Right.
But it's not something that, like, we all of a sudden, just because we're humans, are guaranteed salvation.
Right.
And I think that as I read different blogs and things like that, and they're like, well, how can, as Catholics, if you eat meat on Friday, like, and God, are you going to be damned to hell? Is God going to damn you to hell just because you ate meat on Friday?
Well, that depends.
It depends.
Maybe. Yeah.
Possibly.
You very well may.
Right.
Did you eat meat
In
on
spite?
purpose? Like, as
yeah.
a protest?
Right.
Like, I am, like, eating meat in order to spite God?
Right.
Then, yes, you have set your will against him.
Right.
And the Lord will honor that at your death.
Right. I just think it's just,
But no, if you don't know that you shouldn't eat meat on Friday.
Right.
And you eat meat on Friday, no. That's not the thing that you're going to go to hell for.
We're not entitled to heaven.
Right. No, exactly. But God be praised for his infinite mercy.
Yeah, especially for sinners like you.
Bro, you don't even know.
Oh, dude, I know a lot.
You know a lot, but not the whole of it. It's worse.
Tell me.
It's worse than you know.
Well, tell me.
It's scary. You can't handle the truth.
You're right.
But it's like when I ponder this kind of thing.
So let me ask you this. This is kind of, let's come for full circle.
Okay.
How did you help Elizabeth prepare for confession? As a father, I've done this, and
yep.
I'm in the process of doing it also again.
Uh-huh.
I would like to hear how you helped Elizabeth.
Well, so
to receive his mercy.
Right. So a lot of it was part of like the homeschooling that Pamela does.
Right.
Lady Pamela doing the, catechesis at home. What are the parts, the 5 parts of confession, which I didn't like. The 5th one was like, what makes a good confession? What do we need to do to receive forgiveness? The 5th one was do the penance. And that just bothers me because technically you don't have to do the penance to receive absolution.
I do like that one.
No, you should absolutely do the penance, because without it, you're not going to receive, remittance of some of the temporal punishment due to sin. Nor will you make strides towards reforming.
Also, if you go into it saying
forming
I'm
your
not
habits.
going to,
right,
you will not be forgiven of those sins. Because you're not truly sorry.
You don't need to be truly sorry. You only need incomplete.
But you're not sorry.
You don't need perfect contrition.
Right. Imperfect.
You only need
imperfect.
You only need to be a little bit sorry. You don't have to be all the way sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You could say look, all right, I'm sorry I did it, but I'm not. You could have a bad attitude about it. Like, all right, I'm sorry I did it. I shouldn't have done it, but I'm not gonna do the penance. That is a super imperfect contrition, but it still is a little bit of contrition, which is all technically you need. So, but let's say you forget, even you don't do it on purpose.
Right.
I just don't like that in catechesis.
Justice demands that you do it.
I agree, but that's not technically. It's not part of the form of the sacrament. All sacraments are governed by matter and form. That the penance is technically not part of the form of the sacrament. So I just didn't like that. It's like I am all about penances with confession. I think we give out super milquetoast, weak sauce penances, and I think we'd be much better served all right, well, you're not going to eat for 2 days. It's like you're going to think twice about sinning again. You're also, I know the other argument is you're going to think twice before you go to confession again. It's like, well,
or they're not going to do it.
Right. Look, just man up a little bit, okay? But so that was, this is kind of wandering. I know you had a question here.
Yeah.
So we did the catechesis, but then I would help do her examination of conscience at the end of the day, and just try to be real open. non-judgmental. It's not my place to be like casting judgment or getting her in trouble when because we'd be reading the examination of conscience, and I could see her like over there putting like fingers up, like yeah, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, that one, yeah. And at the end, she'd hold up 7 fingers. Like, well, 7 of the things I said.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot more than I expected. But, definitely not getting her in trouble. That she needs to know that the approaching the sacrament, this is not about getting in trouble. This is about
receiving.
This is about the opposite of being in trouble.
Sure. Yeah.
And just trying to be very open.
Did you go through did you sit down and do kind of like a role play thing?
No, we didn't do that, but we talked, many, many times about, here's what you do, here's how it goes. It's okay to be nervous, but just the typical stuff. And she was fine with that, Different kids will need different stuff.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Yeah. So
like we talked about writing
them down.
Yeah, and at first she wasn't sure she could remember the stuff, but then after we did the examination of conscience, every night for a while, I think she was more confident that she wouldn't forget stuff. So.
Yeah, we've done like the whole role playing thing, and what we found that worked better was having Haley and I doing the role playing instead of like Jude or Luke doing it,
because I wouldn't want them to have to tell me. I'd be worried that like
they would start telling the sins,
right?
But then also for them to be able to see how the interaction plays, because sometimes you're like, okay, you say this, now I say this, you say this, and I say this, and they get kind of confused on, well, which part where does it go? They just get confused about the steps, and to see it played out where they're not a part of it, I found like it helped click with Jude. Because he was kind of confused at first on, okay, so do I start? I go, you go, I go.
Who talks first? You talk first.
Who's on first? And so when he saw Haley and I do it together, also what I found out, so the first time we did it, I role played with, we were role playing with Jude. He comes up, I was the priest, and then I say, okay, and then you say your sins. He goes, okay. And then we'll go on and like we move on. And then I realized, oh, he just says, okay. Like he didn't actually say the sins. Like in his mind, he was like, I'm just going to say the sins in my head and I'll say, okay. And then we'll move on. And that was just.
Yeah. It's like he's in there with the priest. Okay. And I brought all of them to mind.
Right. Yeah.
Now forgive me.
But that was something I would not have thought of.
Right.
Unless he saw somebody else doing it.
Actually saying them out loud.
Right.
He's panicking like, what?
Yeah. Right.
You can't just think about them?
Right. So that was something that really. Also, the Baltimore Catechism is so strong.
Yeah. Especially for this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that is something, if you're trying to prepare your kids for the sacraments, I highly recommend the Baltimore Catechism, because it's
popular for a reason.
Right. So.
Divine Mercy is the best.
It really is. Mucho.